I'm going to start by giving you what I think is a very optimistic and accurate view of why print is in many cases vastly more effective than digital. Even though, no, scratch that, because it's more expensive.
What we are doing is providing you with vital evidence as to why mail has an incredibly important role in our digital world, okay? Now, when I say evidence, I mean not only ROI figures, not only return on investment over time issues, but also really strong market research that can actually help you when you're going to talk to that marketing director or that marketing manager or that CMO or whoever you're getting to say there is a justification for this expenditure.
So initially, this is the interactive part. Some of you may have seen this before, but this is the interactive part where we've downloaded the app and we get the individual to just hover over the packaging or the chocolate bar to actually just initiate a cute piece of AR. It's great, the kids love it. You can poke the panda, you can tickle him, you can do lots of things with him.
Hello.
Okay, that's quite cute. Then let's go through a process to see whether you've won or whether you've lost a golden ticket. Again, litho-printed outer packaging with digital variable content on the inside. We remove the product. And again, we use the same app, slightly different function because we're now pushing the golden ticket application. And we then enter our data. Remember, most annoying friend, which shoe do I tie first? You're giving him all that information at that point. We then hover it over the top. And hey presto, you're a winner. So when we talk about AR and we talk about digital variable printing, that's what I'm talking about.
Rory Sutherland actually paid my fee today because the insights that he gave about elephants and elephants in the room and how we can use some of those ideas in our business. So thank you very much indeed.
And the rider is what you might call our conscious brain, the bit that does the conscious thinking of which we're aware, the bit that does the talking. The elephant is essentially what some people would call the adaptive unconscious. It's really important, by the way, to get away from Freudian or ideas that the unconscious is something to be suppressed. Most, I would have died 17 times if it hadn't been for unconscious instincts. Instincts like not going close to that cliff, jumping out of the way of a bus. Most of those really important things to survival are controlled instinctively and unconsciously. And probably we don't really control them at all consciously, any more than we can will our heartbeat to increase, for example, or will our pupils to dilate. And so his point is that the rider essentially lives its life under the delusion that it's controlling the elephant. Now, it can probably nudge the elephant to look in one direction. It can give it a little bit of encouragement. It can, possibly occasionally say, whoa, are you sure you want to do that? But there's a fundamental point here, which is that the rider can't get the elephant to do anything it doesn't want to do. And that's true of human behavior if you look at that sort of dual model of the brain, that conscious reason on its own can't get you to do something that just feels repellent. And there's a strange group of experimental psychologists and just weird people who do wonderful experiments where they produce very delicious cakes that look like feces. And you know rationally that the only ingredients are kind of sugar, flour, and chocolate, but it's really, really difficult because you've got an extraordinary amount of instinct telling you not to eat anything that looks like that. And so the other point is that, and it's a huge problem for marketing because we spend most of our time talking to the rider because the rider can talk and the elephant can't. The rider generates reasons, the elephant just generates emotions. It trumpets a bit, it stamps its feet, it's either reluctant or enthusiastic, but it doesn't really come pre-packaged with reasons. And so the problem with market research quite often is you end up talking to the rider, you think what the rider says is an accurate representation of the motivation and reasoning behind a decision, and then you end up doing what I'd effectively call as writing software for the wrong operating system.
It's been a really good day. There's been some fantastic speakers with lots of really interesting, informative and useful content. So I definitely recommend coming to anybody who's interested next year.
Don't tell it's me, it's a 32P pack, DL, white, that's it. Tell me what your problem is, and let me offer up a solution that maybe it's a die cut, maybe it's, my personal belief, and I'll talk a little bit about it later, is give it some odor. You have no idea what sales will do.
Probably for every creative person who goes to a print conference, there are 150 who go to something like South by Southwest or what's the most extreme one, the CES, Consumer Electronics Show. And they're spending, most of these digital ideas are bonkers, right? Okay, wearables for pets. For God's sake. Actually, giving your cat a little camera is quite cool. Actually. I'll forgive that one, okay? But I mean, a large proportion of the ideas are completely insane and would never have been indulged by investors if they hadn't had the word digital applied to them. And we're neglecting really important technological advances. I mean, another one would be similar. Huge advances in print, huge advances in lighting, actually, is a very, very interesting thing. Hugely interesting technological development. But they get a tiny fraction of the attention that something that's notionally digital gets.
The average number of readers of a newspaper may be 1.2 or 1.4. The average number of readers of a letter is a calculation that we're now spending let's just say, a seven-figure sum to look at actually how many people on average see any particular piece of mail, right? So I'll share it with my wife. My wife will take it on the dog walking club, and she might share it with somebody else. And we have evidence of this. This is hard-nosed quantitative evidence as well as qualitative evidence.
Now, we all understand this instinctively when we get married, okay? The standard wedding invitation, it will be on an expensive card, it will be in an envelope with a handwritten address and a first-class stamp, and it will employ every trick of print, gilt edges, embossing or engraving, that is known to be expensive and difficult to do. And we do that to convey the importance of the wedding. That, you could do exactly the same thing by email. Now, if you received an email that said, "Hi, would you like to come to my wedding?" and underneath the subject line, the wording was exactly the same as the wording on a formal wedding invitation card, okay? It's not the same thing at all, is it? Because unsurprisingly, the brain has evolved not only to care about information in the most literal form, it cares about context, and it makes inferences from the way in which it's transmitted and created, which have a bearing on the trustworthiness and significance of the message. And now, you might go to that wedding, mightn't you? I mean, if you're free that weekend, if you were invited to both those weddings on the same weekend, I'm fairly much betting you'd go to the one with the card, wouldn't you? This one, there's a slight suspicion here of a cash bar, isn't there? Let's be absolutely brutal about that.
23.3% of people who are fledglings living at home with their parents said they bought or ordered something from direct mail in the previous 12 months, okay? Rory said it beautifully, and I won't say it better than he. They don't get mail. So when they get a piece, it's new, it's exciting, it's refreshing, it's really quite different.
I'm interested to know whose responsibility is it to educate designers about print? Is it the printers, or is it the print manufacturers, or is it the bosses of agency staff? And my other sort of question related to my own my work is, what would inspire a designer to go to a print event or a print exhibition?
I think one of the things that came out of Drupal, which again is in Germany only once every 4 years, is just the range of stuff that's out there. It's a canvas, really, is print, where you can do what you put your creative on and however you want to do it. So I think there's a joint responsibility, for customers to ask the questions.
Just to extend on that, exactly what Simon was saying. Whose responsibility is it? Actually, to answer your question, it's our responsibility. Everybody in this room today. If we look at this conference and what it's achieved, bringing marketeers, bringing agencies, bringing print providers, key people, experts in the same room together, we're the people that can create that education. So it's up for associations like the IPIA and what we're doing here today to actually start cultivating that. Because actually it's been a very disparate world where you've got marketing week and you've got the drum and we do what we do over here and we don't, oh dear, we're not really going to let print in. Actually that's got to change because actually everything you're hearing today, the integration of print and how that works in a multi-channel way. So it's creating that collaboration, that think tank, and hopefully associations like this or other people will just run technology days.
Print is digital and benefits from many of the same innovations and exciting new possibilities that the digital world does, with the additional benefit of being tangible and being apparently costly. Because I can't make this point enough, that the human brain has evolved to see costly communication as being sincere communication. And you can communicate your confidence and trustworthiness and seriousness of intent in a tangible, visibly expensive medium with far more power than you necessarily can with bits alone. And reminding the marketing industry of that is a really, really essential job.